the New Yorker. You got that right? The New Yorker for 20th of September 2019. Headline reads, Remake everything, particularly The Princess Bride. Hell no.
Thank you for putting your name up there, Mr. Brody, and everything. I'm going to be haunting you.
Right? Judging by the outcry from Hollywood stars over Sony executives' vaguely floated notion this week of remaking The Princess Bride, you'd think that the idea wasn't to make a new film, but to alter or destroy Rob Reiner's 1987 original. Among the most over-the-top of the fretters, for instance, was the movie's co-star Carrie Elwes?
I don't know how.
I butchered that. Who tweeted this riff on one of the movie's famous lines. There's a shortage of perfect movies in this world. It would be a pity to damage this one. I completely agree. Just leave it alone.
100%. I agree with that.
Right?
100%.
It seems self-evident that no film is literally damaged by a remake. Okay, I've got something to say here. When you remake a film, there are now two versions of the film. The original film, however good or bad it was, and the remake, which is never as fucking good as the original. And if it is, it's so few and far between that people really don't mention the original film if the remake happens to be better than the original. Which, like I said, is rare in its happenstance. Okay? So, and that if any damage results, it's of a psychological, not a cinematic nature. It's all in your head, babe. There are people who think that Jim McBride's 1983 remake of Breathless is better than the original. Some viewers find Brian De Palma's 1983 Scarface superior to Howard Hawks' 1932 version. They are wrong, of course, but their critical delusions don't prevent anyone from enjoying the originals. Okay. You can't compare... This is my apples and oranges thing, right? This is my apples and oranges thing. You can't compare a 1983 version to a 1932 version because the 1983 version has better camera angles, better effects, and things of that nature.
Yeah, better camera angles, better effects don't make a better movie.
Exactly,
however.
But
the original Scarface beats out the 83 version hands down.
Okay.
The 83 version to me and everything was more of a gore and kill fest and everything without the actual story driven thing. I can't say about Breathless.
Yeah, I mean,
I never saw the original Breathless.
MC remakes only get better if the special effects are able to enhance the film. Only the RUSs would benefit in Princess Bride, nothing else. Yeah, I mean, it's like, and it wasn't really even a remake. That's when you call it a remastery. Like when Lucas went back and he remastered 4, 5, and 6. And he said the only thing he did to change the movies was to put in elements that he couldn't before because the technology wasn't there. Yeah. The vistas outside the window in Cloud City and things of that nature. That enhanced the movie, the experience of the movie. Didn't change the story or anything. Let me see here. That's why I'd like to make a modest proposal to the film industry in response to The Princess Bride. Outcry. Namely, remake everything or at least anything and see whether a filmmaker, a screenwriter, a producer, or a group of actors have the insight and the imagination to meet the challenges and the inspiration of the classics. The problem is,
they don't.
Everybody is so, number one, everybody's so sick of remakes. Every time a reboot comes out, every time a remake comes out, there's a collective groan from everybody that we know because we're tired of it.
Oh, I'm sick of remakes. Show me something original. Show me something that's not only original, but has a story and a plot line that's not derived and everything from every piece of SJW piece of crap they could throw in there.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, and they haven't been able to.
No, they haven't.
Ghostbusters 2016. Flop.
Wasn't funny, wasn't interesting, never will I spend money on it.
Mm-mm. I mean,
it's not even worth a view from me.
There's been a lot of remakes that have fallen short. They did a Walking Tall remake with, I think, The Rock, that most people thought was okay, but still when you compare it to the original Walking Tall, it just fell short. A lot of these remakes fall short. They really, really do. In the case of The Princess Bride, which is based on William Goldman's adaptation of his own novel, I'd say that the door is wide open. Not least because it's far from a perfect movie. You're fucking kidding me.
No, no. He's right there and everything. He's starting with the SJW bullshit. I've already glanced ahead in it and everything, and it's just going to get worse.
Much about it is rooted in the dated standards of its time and thus ripe for reimagining. No. Something that is written in the area in which it is written needs to represent that particular era in which it is written. Okay? You don't change it. You don't update it. You leave it the fuck alone.
No, they want to update and everything, and instead of the Princess Bride, the Princess Bride and everything. Well, the Princess Bride and everything is going to be the hero of his story.
To begin with, its title character, the Princess Buttercup, who wants to marry a commoner named Wesley, is betrothed to the evil Prince Humperdinck. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's written and directed for the most part like a sack of gold rather than a sentient person. No, she's not. There was a certain way people looked upon royalty. They thought the royalty looked upon everybody else like second-class citizens. She acted that the way she was supposed to act. And it's based on a fictional tale.
Yeah.
Some fictional tales have characterizations of people that are over the top. The one time she raised a hand to her oppressor, she's utterly incompetent because she's a princess.
Yeah.
And has to be rescued by Wesley, who isn't. As she is at every turn, again, because she's a princess. Protected from the flames in the fire swamp, pulled from a pit of lightning sand, protected from the roses, rodents of unusual size. Her only recourse in the face of her impending forced marriage to Humperdinck is to plan her suicide, an act from which she is again saved by Wesley, who protests, quote, "There's a shortage of perfect breasts in this world," unquote, because it's satire.
Yeah.
It is satire. This was a satirical take on royalty and love and adventures. Everything was over the top. It wasn't supposed to be, an ABC type story. MC, the new standard is to be crescent and make movies for the future. Right, exactly. It's worth recalling, too, the severe test which Wesley, disguised by the mask of the dread pirate Robert, subjects her. It involves his bitter and derisive skepticism about the truth, the fidelity of her love, and culminates with his raising his hand as if to hit her, declaring, "Where I come from, there are penalties when a woman lies." There's no problem with that. I don't see a problem with that because it's written in the context of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Another underlying relationship in the film, while set in modern times, what do you mean men in modern times? Is crude and old-fashioned as the faux medieval tale, the one that frames the story between the boy and his grandfather who is reading him the book version of The Princess Bride. A novel by the fictitious author S. Morgenstern that was already around when the grandfather was a child. Right. And I am going to paraphrase what Doomcock said in the video that I saw this morning. It is also a symbolical depiction of passing stories down from generation to generation to link generations of people together. A common thread that they share. A tradition. There's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong today is that the nuclear family has disintegrated. The boy is a sports-loving, action-craving, kiss-cringing cliche. Right, because he's a boy. Ew, cooties. They're not going to kiss in this book, are they? He did his part perfectly. Who expressed his surprise that Buttercup is willing to marry Humperdinck rather than Wesley, after all that Wesley did for her. It's one of the many notions that might, in a remake, elicit some illuminating discussions between the grandfather and the boy. No, it wouldn't. Because he's a boy. He's a boy. That's the whole point. Or perhaps even more illuminating between a grandmother and her granddaughter. No. Because story time was story time. Okay? You opened the book, you started reading, and then maybe a quarter of the way through, maybe 2-3 pages through, the child started asking questions. Well, why did the piggy do that? Or why did the wolf do that? Or why did this? So you had to, these are questions that they ask in relation to the movie that you're reading them, not questions that they ask in order to spark a fucking conversation that they shouldn't be having at the age that they are. Which is what I know what they're alluding to with those particular phrases. It's not supposed to go, why is he being a misandrist? Or why is he being, what the fuck is the word again? Misogynist. Why is he being such a misogynist? Why is he such a male chauvinist? No, these are not words in the child's vocabulary. Within a child's vocabulary is they aren't going to kiss, are they? This isn't one of those lovey-dovey books, is it, Grandpa? Mm-hmm. That's more realistic. The Princess Bride could do with revisions in other ways. No, it couldn't. It's perfect the way it is. It's a movie of clever banter, but little visual wit. There was plenty of visual wit. Beyond the nimbly early fencing scenes between Eels and Mandy Patinkin and some lumpy lines, no, those banter back and forth, and performances that appeal to children as they are seen in the condescending eyes of adults. No, it's satire. It's blatant comedy in your face. Everybody knew when to laugh. It's adult comedy as well as,
For God's sakes, they had Andre the Giant in it.
Exactly.
One of the most fun-loving people in the world.
MC, lines are epic. Yes, they were. Yes, they were. Yet far be it from me to gainsay the delight that many viewers take in The Princess Bride. You already did. The point isn't to suggest that fans renounce the pleasures such as they are, but reasonable to remake and to tell a fuller story. No, you don't need to tell a full story. It's perfect just the way it is. To offer different perspectives on its characters and situations. No. And in the process to deliver different pleasures while nonetheless honoring the achievements of the... No. If you do all that you just fucking described in that goddamn sentence, you're going to fuck up the movie.
Yep. 100%.
Period.
And everything. He wants to flush it out and everything and have and make it more of a true, story and everything. He wants to take all the comedy out of it and everything and make it all about, social, modern social issues.
Yeah. Inconceivable. Exactly, MC.
That word, you keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
There are enough examples, recent and historical, to dispel any skepticism that this is possible. This fucking article is going to make me watch originals and compare them to the remakes. I'm getting this feeling. When it comes to masterworks, F.W. Murnau's 1924 drama The Last Laugh, it is one of the supreme ones in the history of film, and the Chadian director Mohammad Saleh Haroun's 2010 remake of it, A Screaming Man, marshals the power of the original story and themes to eliminate his own place in time. Peter Bogdanovich remade and honored Hawk's Bringing Up Baby in his 1972 comedy What's Up, Doc?
That was a good movie.
Spike Lee improved upon Park Chan-wook's Old Boy in his 2013 remake of it. Kimberly Pierce's remake of Carrie, also from 2013, improved upon Brian De Palma's adaptation of the King's, because, I'll explain to you why the remake was slightly better than the original. Because they reopened the book and they added things to tell a richer story and more background on Carrie as to why she was the way she was and why she snapped at the end of the movie. Because it wasn't just people picking on her, ridiculing her, and ostracizing her. It was her mother mentally abusing her as well.
Okay, now we're getting around to some true classics, ones that I am very both familiar with.
All right, Hawks remade the front page from 1931 for his classic 1940 movie His Girl Friday.
And I highly recommend, if you're into classic movies, I do highly recommend that movie and everything because it is an absolute gem. But you're talking about Howard Hawks.
Yeah.
We're not talking about these piece of shits that they have directing and producing shit now and everything. This man and everything, these were story driven. Yeah. They didn't give a flipping damn about recent events or PC culture or anything like that. And they're following it up with what? Go ahead.
And for that matter, he remade his own films. Improving Ball of Fire from 1941 and 1948 as A Song is Born, and wreaking modernist twists on Rio Bravo with El Dorado.
9 years later.
Right. Alfred Hitchcock remade, and 2 decades remove his own The Man Who Knew Too Much and improved on it greatly because he went back, saw the original, and he realized he could have improved upon it. When you know you can improve upon it and make something better, then you do that.
Here's the thing, though. Back then, when Rio Bravo was made and everything, it wasn't so much the technology, but what they would allow in.
Yeah.
And everything. when Rio Bravo was first put out there.
Yeah.
In a minute. They could only go so far.
Yeah.
And do so much and everything. El Dorado and everything allowed much more of the story, the actual background in the story, to be fleshed out. But it's basically the same story, just with a few improvements.
MC. The whole storyline was different. I think he's referring to Carrie on that one. Better actors in His Girl Friday. Rio Bravo was a different story from El Dorado. Background and effects entirely different. Okay, as far as the whole storyline is different, I'll give you another example of a remake of a movie or a reimagination of a movie that was truer to the source material than the original, but the original was better acted, and to me it was much more riveting. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yes.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Okay? Yes, the reimagination with Johnny Depp, because I read the book.
Yeah.
It was very, very true to the book. It stuck point for point with the book and the source material. It was a complete story detailing what happened from point A to point B in the novel. Do I like the way everything was portrayed? With the children? Yes. With the backdrops? Yes. With what happened to each of the children? Wonderful. Do I like what direction they took Willy Wonka in? No.
Hitchcock did remake and add into some of his own movies though and everything. But again, that was him adding in more material, I think.
MC, Civil War wasn't really mentioned in El Dorado. Let me see. Was the whole thing with Wonka's dad in the book? I don't remember that. They would do flashbacks to how his father was,
but I don't.
But they were fleeting. They weren't really detailed.
I don't think they were really flushed out and everything. It's been a long time since I read the book.
Yeah, they added that in the movie because it's been a while. But it's just if they did because it's been a while, it was so fleeting as to.
I read the book.
I don't remember.
I read the book after the release of the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. All those years ago, because I remember going to the theater and watching it. I just dated myself.
Yeah, I mean it was beat for beat. The reimagination was beat for beat with the novel, with possibly, arguably, the parts about the father, because I don't remember the parts about the father. But what happened in the factory, what happened with Charlie and how he got the golden ticket, all of that, beat for beat in the book.
And, the one thing that I enjoyed and everything, now, I grew up in a household and everything where John Wayne was it. If a John Wayne movie was on, we're watching it.
Yeah, my grandmother was the same way.
So Rio Bravo is one of my personal favorites and everything. I did like El Dorado and everything. I liked Rio Bravo a little bit more. El Dorado was still enjoyable to watch.
Gene Wilder was a much better Wonka. Yes, he was. Most definitely.
I like most of what Gene Wilder did and everything. He was so whimsical about some of his.
The reimagining of Wonka made him darker. Mm-hmm. He was off. Wonka wasn't really dark. No. He was just there to be a guide. Now I will tell you, to this day, that fucking tunnel scene in Gene Wilder's, that's creepy. Him, slowly getting louder and faster as the boat's going down the tunnel with the spinning lights, and that was brilliant. And it's fucking creepy. It's really creepy. All right, let's continue. Douglas Sirk's supreme last film, Imitation of Life, from 1959, is a remake of John M. Stahl's 1934 version. George Cukor's remake of A Star Is Born, starring Judy Garland, improves on the 1937 William Wellman version with Janet Gaynor, which was in itself a remake of Cukor's own 1913 original, What Price Hollywood.
But they didn't actually, A Star Is Born didn't actually become a household name until Barbra Streisand in the 70s remade it again, was cast in the lead role.
Right.
So.
Of course, if we started to enumerate all the remakes that fell ridiculously short of the originals and feel grotesquely misguided and begotten, We'd be here for hours. Yes, we would.
Mm-hmm.
But pessimistic remarks like Nev Schulman's regarding The Princess Bride, here's an idea. Don't spend any money making a new movie that will suck and just re-release the original, he tweeted. Oh, yeah, people would go see it if you re-released it. Are equally misguided. No, it isn't. Plenty of money is spent producing awful movies that aren't remakes. Rather than, because of the poor script writing and producing it, hours. I digress. Rather, the greatest harm threatened by remakes is unavailability. The possibility that in order to promote or extort interest in a remake, a studio or a distributor may be tempted to take the original out of circulation. The critic Farron Smith, that name I can't pronounce, has cited several such cases, including Thorold Dickinson's 1940 version of Gaslight and even John Ford's 1939 masterwork Stagecoach. Yet availability is a problem endemic to movies regardless of whether they've been remade. The lack of access to the classics of cinema seems often like a calculated erasure, a planned oblivion that forces viewers to consume new movies and emphasizes the kind of knowledge that would sustain critical thought about them.
I can blast this idiot right here and everything. There have been multiple remakes of Stagecoach.
Yeah.
That were highly successful. Why? Because they didn't change a damn thing when it came to scripting.
Yeah. NMC, I got Rio Lobo and Rio Bravo confused. That's okay, it happens. Lots of Rios.
You know what? Rio Lobo and Rio Bravo and everything used to confuse me and everything. The only reason I remember Rio Bravo and everything because it had Ricky Nelson and Dean Martin.
Yeah.
And I thought the scripting in that thing, there's a few things that I want Maddie to see out of that movie as well. Especially the little Mexican innkeeper and everything and his wife,
Lord.
because I have yet to figure out what his wife says during this one thing.
You want me to translate?
They never translated it and everything. I want to know what the hell she says when she's standing there and she's doing this like this because she knows they're hiding something.
Yeah. Now, in closing, and I'm going to scroll this back up to the part right here, back to the headline. In closing, okay, the only reason that something should be remade or reimagined is if you revisit the source material and you can enhance the story by adding stuff from the source material in your remake or your reimagination. Don't change it. Don't update it. If you can enhance it using the source material and you feel you can make a better movie because a lot of the source material got left out, go for it. Enhance the story, but just use the source material. Use the canon material.
I've seen some remakes and everything that were just, network-only remakes of some things. And I'm trying to remember one of the... Here it is. Lou Diamond Phillips, Angel and a Bad Man. They literally used the original Angel and a Bad Man script for his remake.
Oh, cool.
And it was pretty decent.
Yeah. I mean, also, too, if you want to remaster movies because you feel that now the technology is good for you to add in the stuff you couldn't add in before, just add in the effects you couldn't add in before. Don't alter the story.
No.
Don't make it longer. Don't truncate it.
Don't alter the story. Don't change up anything.
Yeah.
Don't change up anything. Just add what you're going to add, and let's be done with it.
I mean, to me, it's from what I've heard, because I've got to watch It and It Chapter 2. But from what I've heard from the reviews, both of those parts of It are very, very close to the source material.
Okay.
So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to buy that cursed book, read it in hopes that I don't lose the fucker again, and then compare it to the movies, because It is cursed for me. I swear to God. I lent the book out, never got it back, and then it was found and given to me so I could keep it and read it. I was 2 chapters in, lost the book. We were in the roach trap then. Never found the damn book again. So I don't know whether this book doesn't want me to read it or I'm just forever cursed not being able to read it, but that's a novel that I actually want to read. But like I said, in closing, if you want to remake it, only if you can enhance the story. Not change it, not truncate it, not update it to fit the times, not put any agendas in it, but enhance it by using the canon. I'm fine with that. If you want to remaster it to add in any effects that you couldn't before when you first filmed it, go for it if you believe it's going to enhance it. But again, don't change it other than adding in those effects. I'm tired of remakes. I'm tired of reboots. I'm tired of reimaginations. There's a lot of source material out there that you can draw from that doesn't negate, that doesn't include you remaking stuff. There are authors out there that I'm sure are dying to have a lot of their novels made into movies. So please stop with the remakes and the reboots and just do something original. Thanks for stopping by my little geek channel and corner of the internet. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, that's what the like button is for. If you didn't, well, there's that other button down there. There is a subscribe button. If you haven't yet, I'll give you that option by just letting you know it's down there. There is a bell, however fickle it does tend to be. And there are also links in the description to not only the trailer, but ways to support the content on this channel, other channels, and on blogs that I have as well. Until next time, guys, stay geeky.